don't understand why you're 40 years old and playing this game still. So.
Well, I mean, what game do you think you're going to be playing when you're 40? When do you think you're going to stop playing games? What's the age? What's the cutoff age?
When you're out of high school and college.
You're a high school kid?
Yeah, I'm in high school. Yeah.
How old are you?
Why does it matter?
Well, I mean, you foresee yourself in the future quitting something you love, like video games? Do you not love video games? You just cruise through it.
I mean, I think it's a little bit of a waste of time when you're that old. But.
Well, how do you know? You're not old yet. I mean, I can think of probably reasons that video games would be a waste of time for a high school kid, too. Do you have a 4.0? Are you in honor classes to get more than a 4.0?
No. But
you know what I'm saying? There's more things you could be doing to improve your life than playing video games, too, right?
Yeah, you can study and not play games.
It's just recreation, man. Having fun. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
All right, then.
All right, good morning, good afternoon, uhuru, everybody. Welcome to This Week in Culture. My name is Brian, but I know I look like Vivian, but I'm not Vivian. I don't have an identity crisis. I don't have a gender confusion. I just think that Vivian symbolically is more important than me. And so here I am, and I'm joined by John, the problematic white guy. Both of us.
How we doing today?
Yeah, I hope we're doing well. Both of us are pretty problematic, honestly. Vivian James was hated 10 years ago by the journalists, the urinalists, the prostitutes, and as were white men in general. So, and we're here to talk about things going on in the culture. So I hope that you guys will join us. We got lots on the docket as usual. And yes, our show is starting a little bit.
This week was, whew.
Yeah, stacked, right? I mean, we had to
dude.
I had to trim off some of the fat, you know? Go ahead.
Right? Yeah, I know. I was thinking we were going to do other stuff, and then I'm just like, no. Then all of a sudden, yesterday happened, and it's just like a lot of this stuff that we were thinking of probably just kind of like, yeah, that's just fodder for later anytime kind of stuff now, or never to be seen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it got busy out of nowhere.
Yeah, like I said, lots going on. Hi, John Ford. Hello, Robert. Hope you guys are having fun. I'm gonna go ahead and gotta pull out the Rumble live chat. What's up, Rumble gang? I have a Rumble Chan for you because I like making models. So there's Rumble Chan for those of you guys who are watching on Rumble. Hopefully they will pick her up as a mascot. We'll see. I don't know. But anyway, welcome to the show. We got lots to talk about. I don't know, like, if we should start with stuff that's not too bad. Like, so I started streaming this game called...
He's in.
Yeah, this is like Exit 73 Studios website. I'm going to display it really quick so you guys can see it. I'll refresh the page. It has like this animation. But I started streaming this game called #Blood. Which has this very Cartoon Network art style.
Oh yes,
and I was
love
looking.
This game.
Yeah, and it's definitely got like a Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab, Gennady Tchaikovsky vibe. Yeah. And so I thought I would look at the developers of the game to see what else they got going on, what other projects. And so this is their website. And if you know, and they do animations, like there is apparently a lot of different projects they're playing around with, and it's not just games, but also you know, I think they actually want to do cartoons. So this is all very promising stuff. Yeah.
They're very full of passion. You can see it in their writing, and just everything about that game is, oh man. And it's like it stars like a teenage girl in junior high. You'd think that, you know, we're supposed to be misogynistic, problematic white guys who hate everything, and every time the first time I saw you play that, I said, I was like, wow, that's really flowery prose, but maybe that's something to do with the character. And then within 2 minutes, you were talking to her ultra based dad, and I've, you know, just ever since I've been on board with it, right?
You can always tell a game is probably like coming from a good place if it has a positive father character in it, because that's what they attack first. That's the first thing they try to marginalize. The first thing they, you know, kind of like lampoon is like a father, you know, that loves his family. I mean, they call it the Homer Simpson effect. I think it predates that. I think it goes all the way back to maybe even like All in the Family.
I was going to say that's exactly what I had in my mind right there. I was like, Archie Bunker comes to mind.
Yeah, Archie Bunker. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't dumb, but he was like, he was considered backwards and, not progressive and stuff like that. And so
he was the first deplorable.
Right. Yeah.
The proto-deplorable.
Yes. But I mean, it was the 70s. They couldn't go all in on it. So they just, it was like kind of a slow process. And right. I mean, here we are now. So when you see like a good male father figure character in anything, it's kind of like, whoa, okay, these people might be they might be onto something. Now, I'm not going to like make any definitive claims because it's still like a young company. They have a lot of promise. But the only thing they've made so far as video games go, from what I can tell, #Blood is their first big one. A lot of the other stuff is like, educational games, which is cool too. I kind of dig that, like it. If you really want to like kids to learn, I think you have to like speak their language, right? But they also have a Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon thing, so there's a little bit of a red flag there. But I guess right. We'll see. We'll see.
And
but
Junior's like a little, but hey, contracts are contracts. People have to work, so it's like I don't want to like. I mean, this work speaks for itself from what I've seen so far. And the thing that I love about doing this show with you, one of the things we made from like one of our first goals was to do highlights of independent games, which I'm gonna start putting those games that we highlight. I'm gonna set up on my new problematic
Discord.
White Guy Discord server. Yeah, I'm gonna set up links for like where people can go to the games that we highlight on the show on Steam to do wish listing and all that kind of stuff. Because like that should be what we're doing with this thing, is actually trying to promote the benefits and put people in the right directions for things that they can enjoy. Just, and if they don't have a readily available access point, then I'm gonna try to at least kind of build one for our audience, if nothing else. So
yes, 100%. So I just wanted to mention that's the studio behind #Blood. I guess we'll see how things go. I'm obviously going to continue to stream the game when I get a chance. So maybe next week, I might do a stream on Thursday. I think that's how I've been doing it because that's usually like the best time. I might do something on Monday, but it might be more Warhammer 40k bolt gun. So anyway, please check out the streams. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Hit the like button for us. Help us grow. I think that these are, going to be positive, productive, but also important conversations about stuff going on in the cultural space, which is related to all the other spaces. Like there's a lot of crossover in these areas. So anyway, let us move on to the next story. I got, let me see. Oh. We got to talk about War of the Rohirrim. So I'm going to share this. I'm not going to watch the whole trailer. I thought I would skip because there's a little bit of memberberry stuff that happens in the beginning where they're like, "Remember Lord of the Rings, kids?" And I don't need to see that because like if you don't remember, yeah, I know. If you don't remember Lord of the Rings, I don't think we can be friends. so you probably know what it is. But here we have a new, I think it's a movie, or it could be a series, but I think it's a movie.
It's an animated feature that's coming out. They're holding on to the license, and evidently they are adapting a story about an unnamed daughter character, Helm's daughter, and she is now going to be what we will see in the commercial, which I think from my setup you can kind of already guess what we're getting. Yes, so I will say when I first heard of this, there was a little excitement because Peter Jackson was generally loyal to the source material. He had a strong fondness for Tolkien's work. I think the great crime of like the original trilogy, and some people would argue it isn't a crime, is the exclusion of Tom Bombadil. But I think most of the other stuff was like pretty much, close as you could, as has been.
any sort of like, you know, rendition of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And The Hobbit was even a little bit more questionable. There were more questionable choices, but I was still like interested. But then I heard about what this story was going to center on, and I read the Silmarillion, and I have looked into the lore of like the you know, the appendices and stuff, and it was already like gigantic red flag was they were going to make this about a character that didn't even have a name. There was just a mention of a daughter that Helm Hammerhand had.
Right. She existed. Yeah. And for that, we have to know, like, who was she?
Yeah.
And I really explore her experience.
Yeah. And we started seeing articles that were being written that were like, oh, we have to find out who this is. We have to get to the bottom of it. Why aren't there more women in power? Why is the daughter of Helm Hammerhand just getting, like, you know, a mention on the side, right? And so
one of the most important characters Tolkien ever wrote. I mean, clearly.
Yeah, that's why she didn't get a name.
She has a name, right?
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Cornell, welcome to the stream. He says YouTube likes to recommend the vertical. That's why I stream vertically. Because the verticals are less prone to the algorithm. YouTube is trying to promote the vertical format because they're trying to compete with other apps that use the same format, like TikTok, primarily TikTok, but also Facebook Reels and stuff like that. So yeah, that's why. But thank you for joining us. All right. So anyway, let's take a look at this trailer. It's animated, and I guess I'll give you my thoughts after it's over. So I'm just going to play it all the way through.
Oh, I love that music. I'm just going to talk over it, though, so you don't get...
the tale of the War of the Rings. But 200 years before that...
Riders of the Mark! Brothers of
Rohan!
Rohan!
Just a little quick
There
pause
was
just
an
to break
older
up,
tale.
Arise!
Hey, did you guys know that if you set something 200 years before something, it's older? That's literally what she said. 200 years before, there was an older tale. No shit.
Right.
Okay.
Well, this is the quality of today's writers.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, they're trying to sound profound. It just sounds dumb. So anyway,
right. Well, you know, Tolkien clearly needed all the help he could get by today's.
Obviously, he didn't have a committee helping him write his books. He did it all by himself, which means now we're gonna help him. Yeah,
that's right.
We come with an offer to strengthen Rohan.
Hera, daughter of Helm, I, Wolf, seek your hand in marriage.
Our fathers speak as if I were not even in the room.
I do not want to marry you.
You do not seek an alliance.
He's strong and independent.
A throne. You will live to regret this, old man.
She would much rather be, you know, a serf without servants.
You will pay for this with your life.
The boy I knew would never wish for war.
The boy you knew is gone.
Fire!
There's so many of them. I pledge to
Beautiful
fight for my king.
I'll give it that.
You know nothing of war.
I'm the fastest rider you have.
I mean, I try to be as objective on this stuff as I can be. It does look nice.
Something to believe in.
It's got really good music.
My pride, my joy.
But
you could rule the world.
It's the kiss in the punch bowl. Even if you can't taste it,
I am afraid of you.
I find it to be very wrong and an offensive thing to have to drink down this piss.
You should be.
Why couldn't they just give us a story about the Rohirrim, you know?
Can I just go back? That's kind of a small. That's kind of a small Oliphant. Let me just look at it real quick. Yeah, that's actually not that big. Do you guys remember in the movie that they were riding past their feet and they were like up to like the ankles on these beasts? But okay, so Roar of the Rohirrim.
I've been calling this Roar of the Or Hiram myself, but
the what?
That's because the
whore
of the whore, comma Hiram. Yeah.
The whore Hiram.
Roar of the whore, Hiram.
Yeah.
I'm terrible.
So, okay, what are your thoughts, and then I'll give my thoughts.
Well, like I was saying, it looks nice. And if you don't really have any discernible barometer for what's going on in the culture war, you might feel, oh, cool, I didn't realize this was a part of Tolkien that I'd somehow missed. It must be a story from the appendices. But that's what they're kind of hedging on, is that people only know Tolkien in the margins or in the loosest terms because of the movie adaptation now and things like that. So this just seems like so many modern corporatist ideas to just take something that is familiar and bankable and try to wrap it around a narrative-driven value, value signaling agenda and a virtue signaling agenda, rather. There's no value here other than what they thought they were going to make off of it. And it is so sad because, like I said, I know Gary, the entire fellowship has been hype, from top to bottom until about a month ago, I'd say, when the news kind of actually started to break about what this was. And now it's just so much, so many people just kind of oh, what could have been, So.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really have high hopes because whenever, I don't know, I'm just
you were smart from the start. I'm
a little bit jaded. So I have to see evidence that it's going to be true to something. And when I heard they were oh, we're gonna pull from this really obscure, corner of the appendices of Tolkien's work, I was like, sounds like you guys are looking for something that has a lot of canvas for you to
exploitation.
Yeah. Well, no, but if I'm being a little bit more charitable, I mean a canvas on which they can paint their own, paint their own little version of things, right?
Right.
And so you get this thing in the trailer. I'm not going to go through the trailer again, but I'll just talk through it. So, you have these two kingdoms and the kings are we should join up, and the son on the one kingdom is marry me, and she's you're talking about me I'm not even in the room, I don't have a choice. And it's yeah, but in the Middle Ages, well, actually for most of history, okay, the truth is for most of history, marriages were not romantic in nature. They were marriages of a political nature. Yeah, well, it was either bringing families together to make them stronger, or it was a way to create peace in kingdoms, between kingdoms, because you say, oh, I'll give you my daughter or whatever. And so it's not, I know that people today would consider that to be chauvinistic, but it is historically accurate. This is the way it was. We only have the luxury of talking about marriage it's a romantic thing today because of how comfortable everything is. But if you just realistically, that's what makes sense. And then I don't think that it was common, and this is another thing that annoys me that I see a lot in these ancient times, that you'll have women that are talking about how they don't want to get married. They want to be warriors and generals and things like this. That just didn't happen. It just, and the thing is, Lord of the Rings is written that way. You don't see, with the only exception being, what's her name? Arwen? Is that her name? Or Eowyn? Yeah. Eowyn. I get the two.
It was close enough.
They sound really, their names are really similar, but Eowyn wanted to help, but it wasn't really if you read the books, it wasn't an ego thing. She wasn't there to prove that women are strong. She was just wanted to be a part of the solution to the problem. But even after that was over, she was in one battle, and then she was out for the rest of the story, and she marries Faramir, and the marriage between, again, Eowyn and Faramir is supposed to join the kingdoms of Rohan and Gondor. It's purely, it's just the nature of that. And so you're bringing these modern sensibilities into a fantasy story that does have a basis in the Middle Ages. It just doesn't work.
The irony is they talk about all this cultural appropriation all the time, and this is cultural projection, you know? And so like you aren't actually appreciating what this is even for. The whole point of these stories is to get you out of your current day, modern, you know, like current event bullshit, and actually just present something to you that you can digest on a human level, where it's divorced from what you're actually having to deal with in your own personal existential crisis. It's there to be a framework to actually kind of see the things that are happening. You know, like I would recommend The Lord of the Rings to anybody, because even though it's not an allegory of the world that we live in today, you can more easily discern about the world we live in today when you actually understand what Lord of the Rings is really about, which is the nature of power and how power corrupts, and how, you know, it does these top-down control schemes that undermine people's good sensibilities. And even if you are hoping to act in good faith, sometimes there's a control arm that will prevent you from doing so. And so it takes the willingness and the strength of strong, independent individuals to go all the way across the world on foot if they have to, just to cast a ring into the fire, you know, for other people's ultimate benefit, because they'll probably end up, you know, broken and destroyed in the process of doing this thing that's for everyone else. And that's love and compassion and fellowship, you know, and these are important things for the human condition. And that's, you know, that's kind of stuff that they just don't get. And so, like, trying to adapt Tolkien in a modern day writing room, you know, like, it's just, it can't be done. You know, it's in 2024, it is impossible, I think, for anyone. And that includes Peter Jackson and his team. I just don't think it's possible anymore because of so many of these checkbox kind of mindsets.
It's kind of the consequence of modernity itself that we have forgotten this, because it was like chipped away over time, that you don't see, you know, exactly this kind of story that Tolkien was trying to tell, even though this story withstood the test of time more than most others, right? You know, to your point about power, in the trailer, this is how you know they missed the mark on here. Helm Hammerhand is talking to his daughter, and he says, "One day you will rule the world." And I know that it's supposed to be like a girl power thing, but it's literally something that Tolkien would never have written, because even like unless he was trying to paint Helm Hammerhand as like ultimately corrupt, you know. But I mean, men are weak,
and that got all their brothers. Like that, just it wouldn't. It wouldn't.
Well, it wouldn't be a thing, but the people who again are creating that created this trailer, and I think this movie or this feature, they don't care what Tolkien would have done, because now it's theirs and they're going to do what they want with it. And so they're literally saying that, you know, this character they made up, whose name is Hera, by the way, for the trailer, which is not original at all, but whatever. Name. Yeah. It's like Hera Tolkien-y. Hera is from Greek mythology, right? That's like Zeus's
and
wife.
That's why I say it seems like it's like, what the hell is that doing in Tolkien? It's more of like a adapted Middle Ages that didn't have, you know, like
no creativity whatsoever. Like they couldn't. Even though Tolkien was a master of coming up with names and terms and places and languages,
but etymology was the thing that mattered to Tolkien more than the story. That's why he wrote the stories, because he wrote the languages.
Yeah. So anyway, in the trailer, there's a focus on her power and her potential to gain power, which again is antithetical to Tolkien. And on top of that, you get this narrative of like, you know, I am not someone to be, you know, betrothed to someone else because I'm a strong, independent woman that don't need no man. And that's literally like the plot. And the only thing I feel like we're going to get out of this is that she is strong and independent, and she's going to, like, you know, beat the guy or something. And like there's nothing there. There's nothing of substance.
No,
like this.
And
this,
what's really annoying is like it misses, as you said, it misses the point of Lord of the Rings, especially when you consider that one of the greatest characters in all of fiction is Samwise Gamgee, and he operates out of a position of loyalty and fealty and love and care and compassion for his master, right? And so he's in even more of a fixed position than this supposed female character. And he's still able to say, it's not about me. This is about me supporting someone and actually, my space in this larger thing. And, and that's why Samwise is so loved and so revered and so great, is because he is selfless. And, he does get his reward out of coming out of this long journey that Frodo can't ever fully recover from, but because of his willingness to actually put in his service and everything, his life is bettered from it. And that's Tolkien. He went off to war. He did things. He actually he cared about the world beyond himself. He had a family, he was
in the Somme. He was in World War One. I mean, he probably watched dudes that he knew get blown to pieces.
Yeah.
He understood. That's the thing too, is we don't have a lot of respect for people who have seen, actual war and trauma and have these experiences and then go on to write stories about them. Now we get people who are in their cloistered Manhattan condos and they're making shit up. They don't know. They don't know about the world, and they're writing stories. So, so I think that ultimately, War of the Rohirrim, I'm sorry, Lord of the Rings bros, but I don't feel so good. This doesn't look good to me. I think there's lots of red flags, and I wouldn't expect much. And it's a shame that because they're attaching Peter Jackson's name to it at every turn. I think what they're trying to do, he probably produced it, but he probably wasn't involved with the process because it was ultimately a Japanese guy that put this together.
Right.
And this, by the way, goes to show, and I really got to point this out before I forget. Anime's not safe. I told you it wasn't. And they're coming for anime. They've already started. This is one of the first things. It doesn't just look like anime. It is anime. Mm-hmm. And they're going to use anime to draw you in, and then they're going to lecture you on your privilege.
Seduction play.
Yeah, so
sorcery.
Get this idea that anime is immune out of your head because it's already started. And it started, by the way, with the vocalizers, which were the people that were changing the language when they translated it for subtitling and dubs. And now it's just in there. So this is the first example, and we're not going to, I think personally that you're not going to get anything satisfying out of it. It's going to be another girl power story where she shows her dad that she was always the strongest, and he's going to acknowledge it by the end, probably as he's dying. And he's going to be I was wrong. Women are totally equal to men in every way. It's just going to be
not only are you equal, you're better.
You are strong in a way that I never thought possible. And then he expires.
Myself.
Yeah, and she's gonna be I told you, Dad. That's gonna be the story.
I was in me the entire time. I just had to clip it out.
I didn't see. I didn't see any orcs or evil wizards or anything fun. So it's just I don't know. No excitement. So that's it about that. I just wanted to make that a mention. So I don't know.
And while we're on Lord of the Rings, because there was a brief mention. Rangs of Prime starts next week on.
Right.
Yes.
The 29th. Rings of Power season 2. I knew it was trash. I knew it had no hope of being any good. I didn't bother.
Hey, this is this season's Acolyte.
Yeah.
Although Acolyte is
hearing,
actually more humorous.
I'm hearing that they're trying to course correct. But I don't think it's. I think it's too late. I think
they can try all they want, but it's the conversation we just had. They just fundamentally just cannot connect to what is Tolkien's writing and the purpose of it, or anything like that, because these are iPad kids who have no experience with anything, on these terms, and they're not equipped emotionally or just mentally cognitively speaking, to deal with this world, in a way that actually is meaningful.
That's right. I mean, the issue is that the woke can't. They believe in an artificial world made up of their preferences and their language. And the problem is that nothing they create can be seen as authentic because it's made up by what they want, like their pronouns, their gender identity, their, racial hierarchy, whatever, their globo homo, gay race communist agenda is not reality. And so there's nothing about it that's authentic. Then therefore it always comes across as trash. And no one relates because it isn't real. And the reason why Lord of the Rings relates is because even if it takes place in a fantastical world, even if it takes place in a world that never existed, the characters are realized so authentically that you relate to them because they feel like real people. So
and
like
they
I see
speak from the human condition.
Yes, exactly. Yes, which someone who's actually experienced true hardship and also true joy
and
from
everything,
like raising a family and having kids that love you and all that. Those are the only people that can tell real stories. So, or at least they'll tell the best stories. But let me see what some people in the chat are saying. If you guys want to send a super chat, please do so, and I'll read it. Or Rumble rants. I think that they're enabled because I got some before, and I will be sure to read them. And also smash like on this video because we're trying to grow the channel, and I think that it's it's moving along on its own pace, but I'm really happy to see it. But I just want to have the conversation, and I want it to be like something a little bit deeper, So let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Norwegian Black Templar says Freya would be a more Nordic / Anglo-Saxon name, much more suitable for a woman from Rohan. Yeah, I believe Rohan is kind of based on the Nordic, aesthetically and thematically. They're kind of like Northmen kind of a thing. Mr. Cornell says, here, have a daughter. Everybody from over 100 years or previously. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I mean,
Please,
I know women don't like it, but
it's taking up space in my house.
Yep. And Mr. Cornell also says, the message of Lord of the Rings is more about the relationship to power, divine noble forms of power versus evil corrupting forms of power. Well, yeah, but it's also kind of similar to Star Wars because the goodness is something you have to it will triumph, but not without significant sacrifice and suffering.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
that's the thing that I love about Lord of the Rings is it actually teaches you that even if you're doing something that's worthwhile, there will be, costs to bear that you didn't even necessarily want to. Yeah. But you have to. And that's this culture war right now. A lot of us are putting ourselves out here, especially right now with all this terms of service, censorship society play, that the overreach that's happening legitimately right now, the stuff that we've been talking more and more about with each passing week. This is the time. The censorship brigade has begun, and that's why I turned on my live server on Discord so that we actually have more open pathways to communication that are centralized. I'm trying to bring together all the different aspects of the fellowship that I'm affiliated with, so that more people can actually start connecting together and make these points, because the platforms that we use are obviously corrupted, and we know that outright. And so I'm thankful for Rumble because it seems to be a very, very honest player in this whole situation, at least from what my take on it. Do they have their own agendas and whatnot? We all do to some degree. We have our biases, but I don't have to agree with somebody 100% if they at least give me the opportunity to actually speak freely and have the discourse and, have legitimate conversations, unlike this terms of service stuff that they're setting up for, Rotten Tomatoes is completely useless going forward, entirely useless, because you're going to have to buy tickets through Fandango, and only ticket holders through Fandango will be allowed to run a actual customer-based review, and customer-based reviews aren't even going to be reflected on their website anymore. So it's all just going to be propaganda, straight up. And so it's like, well, you're completely useless as a source for anyone now, because now your only point of existence is to regurgitate the corporate line. So, I mean, not to say that Rotten Tomatoes was a good website for anybody to use substantially in the last 5-10 years. I think it's been pretty shit.
Yeah.
But, at this point in time, I mean, it's utterly, it's now actively, been weaponized to obscure the truth and do everything it can to opaque the message of the corporations that it's involved with to do their bidding. It is a ring of power, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. Well, let us know what you guys think about that in the comments. Appreciate y'all. Let's move on to the next story. So we're gonna be it's gonna be fun in a little while, but not yet. Not yet. We're gonna look at this first. So the Acolyte. This is an opinion piece written by Empire. I remember Empire magazine. Wasn't that like a music magazine? Yeah,
seemingly.
I think it kind of came out of that movie Empire. Yes. Yeah, I think it came out of that movie Empire Records, which I never saw, but I should watch that. I heard that was good. I don't know. But yeah, so we have this, and of course, since the Acolyte has been canceled and is not going to be returning for another season, journalists are big mad about it. Some anyway, and they have words. Now, this is the thing about these people that I think we have to understand. Okay, they don't actually believe that you should be able to spend your time or your money in the way that you want. They believe that you should be spending it on the things that they like. And when you
demands,
and when you don't do that, they will write things like this. So I'm just going to read some of this because I think it would be funny. So in Star Wars, the Acolyte deserved a season 2, and Star Wars will be poorer without it. In Star Wars, I know, right? There's always been more than
my wallet for like what my profit potential would be, and just my ability to like laugh. I have had some of the best laughs in years in 2024 because of the Acolyte.
Yeah, didn't watch one episode, didn't spend any time on it, but I watched other people reviewing it, and I did have quite a good time. It was more entertaining. Like if the comments or reviews of something are more entertaining than the thing itself, you got a problem. You got to go back to formula. You got to go back to the drawing board, guys.
Being loved as an unintentional comedy, because people are so far into their apathy state that they're just like, yes, bring it on. Like, because that's where I am. I'm like, yeah, dude, more gasoline on the fire. Let's make this as like bozo clown show as we can possibly make it. So.
Yeah. I mean, I have like, how you have guilty pleasures, right? You have like movies that that you like to make fun of, but you don't think they're good per se, or maybe they're awful, like they're good bad movies.
I love watching Street Fighter just to have a good time.
Street Fighter the movie,
or Mortal Kombat. Yes,
that's pretty bad. Mortal Kombat's better, but still pretty bad.
Right.
I have let me think. Let me see. What's a guilty pleasure that I have? There was well, there's the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. There's one. Do you remember Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman, where he's like fighting? It's like it's got Dracula, Frankenstein.
His crossbow is like badass crossbow.
Yeah. Right. Like those are guilty pleasure movies. I like them, but I know they're not good. I wouldn't tell people you have to go watch Van Helsing, right? Yeah, they are. Right. Absolutely. I watched the original Twister. I've never seen it before. That's another one. That's not a great movie. It's not, but I was entertained. I was making mad jokes about that. So let me see. I got a super chat, sorry, from Albernator Retro. Thank you, Albert. And he says, Drunk 3PO wanted he gives us $5 Canadian. Drunk 3PO wanted the Acolyte to go 4 seasons because he makes tons off of bashing bad Disney Star Wars.
I wanted to go 20. I wanted to. I was like, please, never end.
God, they spent enough money for 20 seasons. I'll tell you that much.
Right, I know, on a rational budget, but
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. You know the old, like, for example, you know the old Star Trek: The Next Generation. I think the average budget for one episode was $1 million. Now, granted, $1 million was a lot back then, but they at least got everything they could out of that $1 million. Like like no one that likes Star Trek dislikes The Next Generation that I know of. I never got into The Next Generation, but I know a lot of people do like it. It was like $1 million on average per episode, and I think they got a lot of mileage out of it. So with The Acolyte, literally, what is it like? How many episodes of this was it? Like 10?
There were
or 6? I don't even know.
There was 8, if I remember correctly.
Okay,
yeah.
So 8 and $180 million. And I'm sorry, but that did not go into the budget. That went into people's pockets. This was, I think they money laundered. That's what I think was going on here. Art has, for a long time, been used to money launder, and you can usually tell if the art is garbage.
Right. Well, especially in today's corporatist landscape of economically speaking, where everything's driven on quarterly reports and just revenue flow structures, and it's not actually about long-term investment kind of stuff anymore. It's to their benefit to keep things as superficial and just kind of smooth-brained as possible. That they want things to just kind of be this constant, just look at it from like 15, 20 feet away, kind of hear it out, but don't listen. Don't pay too much attention. Just let it wash over you with like, it looks like the thing, and that's good enough. Yeah, that's what they operate on, is that you're not going to care and that you're going to be just as jaded as they are. And that way they can, get to what their ultimate intention is, which is the profiteering. And that's why, kind of to take this into, where intentions come from. That's why, in the Bible, it says you'll know by the fruits of their actions. And so that's what we see in today's culture, is like who's actually trying to do things to encourage creativity and actual legitimate fellowship-based communities, and who's just trying to get you locked into their system so that you're beholden to everything that they want to drop down on top of you.
Welcome, Sponjui Bujiri. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right, but he said, "Holy shit, I doom scrolled myself to 2 3D streamers. Welcome." I hate to tell you this, but the VTubers are going to save
to the end of the
West.
world. That's right.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so anyway, let's get back to this. So in Star Wars, there's always been more than one side to the story. When Luke Skywalker confronted Obi-Wan Kenobi's Force Ghost in Return of the Jedi, having learned that his father is Darth Vader and not, as Obi-Wan previously claimed, a man killed by Darth Vader, the Jedi Master delivered a sly retort. "What I told you was true from a certain point of view." Now, so they're using this. This is their whole excuse now. They're like, is it possible that George Lucas kind of retconned shit in Return of the Jedi because the success of the original Star Wars A New Hope was such that he made a sequel and he decided to add this twist in? I don't know. I'll never know what was in his head.
Right.
But this was perhaps this is going to be a little thing that they're exploiting to say, look, there's no such thing as good or evil. It depends on what side you're standing on. Remember the interview with that one guy? And I mean, like, obviously these people, if anyone who engages in moral relativism should be viewed with suspicion. Anybody who does that. Especially when you have something that is clear cut like Star Wars. Like, there is the light side and the dark side. And yes, the dark side represents evil, and the right side does not. And I don't know why this is such a controversial thing for some people. They just really want everything to be gray. And it's like, no, that's not what the purpose of this story is. In reality, in real life,
it's the muddying of the waters. It's the muddying of discernment. It's easier to cloud people's minds when they already have a little bit of the dust in the air.
Yeah, exactly. But when you are I think when you're telling a story and you want it to be something that can be, viewed by, it's made with families in mind and people that are varying, I guess, levels of sophistication when it comes to media literacy. You basically go black and white. Like, you basically do He-Man and Skeletor, and that's it. Like, that Skeletor is the bad guy.
What we learned from the Netflix that was left to Kevin Smith That too is
oh my
debatable.
God. Exactly. Well, no, but he went in and he started because like for some reason people have this idea in their heads that you have to add shades of gray in order for something to be mature.
Yeah, this is the only way things can be complex.
Right.
Nuanced. Give a character.
Exactly. But it's about I don't but you have to be careful. I mean, again, you can tell a story that's got a lot of depth and not characters that are just like cookie cutter cutouts. Like a story that I often bring up that I think is really good, that gives a really good example of this, is the movie Seven or the television show True Detective season 1. Okay. And in that you have a character that is a true nihilist in both of them. Like in Seven, it's Morgan Freeman's character, Somerset, and in True Detective, it's that, and I don't want to give anything away, but I would really, if you've never seen Seven, you should watch Seven. And if you've never seen True Detective season 1, it's amazing. Like, those are really great, and they're very similar. But anyway, by the end, they realize that there is good, and it isn't a lot, but it needs to be, let's say, how do I put this? It needs to be supported so that it grows. And that's actually the way it expressed. It's also in Lord of the Rings. Because you remember when Frodo and Sam are like heading to Mount Doom, there are moments where they come across, like, they're obviously doing really bad. Like, they're running out of food. They don't think they're going to come back. They're constantly, like, just barely evading danger. They're being led by someone who has it out for them, which is Gollum. And so everything is extremely, like, dire, okay? And I remember one point where Sam and Frodo are walking, and there's, like, this beheaded, like, statue. It's like the head of a statue on the ground. And they look at it. It looks really, like, depressing. And then, like, the sun, like, a little bit of light passes over it, and the statue has, like, vines growing on its head. And Sam says, "Look, he's got a crown." And for just a fleeting moment, that goes up and then it disappears. It's kind of like when, I think another point in the movie, they're looking up at the sky and it's all like clouds and darkness because they're right there, by the mountain, right? And for a moment, the clouds clear up and there's one star, right? So that this is what it is, right? That's like how you do it well. You can be grounded in reality. You can tell a story that has, it doesn't have to be cookie cutter, but this is where you have the greatest opportunity to make an impression. And I don't think these people who write, The Acolyte, I don't think that's not even on their radar, right? So do you guys see what I'm saying?
I was just kind of vamping a little bit. What
I'm sorry.
Exactly again? That's
yeah. All right. Well, anyway, let me get back to the article. I didn't know that you left. I was just kind of talking, and I think I was talking to myself. But anyway,
I popped out and I thought I popped back in, but who knows? I should be getting my fiber internet connection within the next few weeks, but they have to dig the line to get it here. But as soon as that happens, I should be a little bit more stable.
Who's your provider?
It's going to be Allo, ALLO, I think is how it's spelled. Something.
I don't know.
It's a company here in the Midwest, I think.
Actually,
it's Midwest.
I don't have fiber here yet. This I'm just paying for like 500 gigs or something, like cable. So
probably enough. Like in the Midwest, you can get fiber for less than you can do cable services.
Absolutely, yeah.
So.
Oh no, cable is more expensive, but fiber just doesn't come out to where I am. So at least not yet. Right. But anyway,
and then they were nice enough to say they'd do it, but it'd take about a month to get the line dug. So
yeah,
in a month, I'll
we'll see. We'll see. All right, then. But anyway, so No Star Wars has dug into the idea of a certain point of view, quite like The Acolyte, the all-original High Republic era series devised by Leslie Headland, former assistant to Harvey Weinstein, in which a Jedi cover-up spawns disastrous consequences for all involved. Across its first and now only season, the show presented a series of shifting viewpoints on a situation with no clear-cut answers, just flawed people making flawed decisions, whether Jedi or Sith or something in between.
That's one way to interpret it. It's very, very like, you know, biased, but
it's very charitable. It's a very charitable interpretation. So I want to jump ahead to where, because I think they're blaming the fans for not watching it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The worry here is that Lucasfilm,
told us there was more of them than us. I thought they had nothing to worry about, you know?
Yeah, right. The worry here is that Lucasfilm, or the Disney overlords, may be more hesitant to move ahead with original Star Wars stories down the line. The Acolyte was a risk extricated from the Skywalker saga, and it took narrative risks too. Its unusual structure delivered 2 equal and opposite flashback episodes at opposite points in the season, each illuminating contrasting viewpoints on its central conundrum. In Li Jung-jae's compelling Soul, it gave us a Jedi Master character to put your faith in, only to have you resignedly root for his demise in the finale. Yeah, that was the problem.
Because they made him a blatant PDF file like out of nowhere. You know?
Yeah, they did. And here's another thing too. This is one of the things that I got right out of this is that the fact that they cast this guy. Okay, first of all, they got the guy from Squid Game.
Connection.
Yeah, they got the guy from Squid Game. I don't even know. Is that how do? Okay, but anyway, they got this guy because he was in Squid Game, and Squid Game was like all the rage for a little while. That was the only reason, because they put him in the role as a Jedi as though he knows martial arts. Like, what is it with Hollywood, who's always lecturing us about stereotypes, casting Asians to play martial arts characters all the time, even if they don't have like any background in it, right?
Well, you know, with Disney specifically, they have to, like, everything's cast. You know, there's not one thing in a Disney production that is not cast, because they are spell cast. You know, we are spellbound to dark deception. And so, like, when they hire a quote unquote director, it's hired in name only. You just stand there, do everything that we tell you to do. And if you are dutiful to the task, then you'll get more merits and ducats down the line. But if you actually try to, like, you know, talk about what we actually do here, then, you know, you'll get Bo DeMayo'd, like it happened with the guy who was the head of X-Men 97 that we were talking about. Like,
yeah,
he clearly was excised, not, you know, like I was talking to Badger about this last week, because he's a little bit more in on the situation. He actually did a stream for X-Men 97 on Gooch's channel, and Bo came on there as a guest, and they actually had a back and forth discussion. The guy was very open and honest and said, you know, if I might have had some of my bias come through, that's just something that happens, and he owned up to it like any real person would. And so you can't even, like, you know, at that point in time, it's kind of like, oh, well, I guess I should maybe actually be a little bit more considerate than just so, you know, caught up in my own bullshit. And it seems that he was basically, you know, Gina'd out of Disney, because he said stuff that, you know, actually stood up for the context of the, you know, projects, and not, you know, simply there to reinforce the concept of the product that they're trying to, you know, turn this thing into. They actually want to, like, you know, like, do well by the fans and, like, actually be part of something that is in service to a thing that they loved growing up themselves. And people like that, you do that, Disney, it's the quickest way to lose your job.
Yeah.
You know, they only want empty vessels. That's all you are, is just a facilitator to, you know, hold ground in space. You're just there to be a, you know, tokenized, precious, reflecting gem that gets stars in everyone's eyes and keeps them spellbound to the moment without thinking too much beyond, you know, who all these encrusted, you know, precious gems happen to be in the here and now. And it's also of its time that none of this stuff is actually going to be substantial in the purview of history. It's all just going to be like a fart in the wind, and nobody's ever going to come back to any of this stuff other than to point out and say, don't ever do this shit. This is how you ruin your properties. And don't even think of them as properties, because that's also how you end up doing it. Because, like, you know, just care about the thing you care about. You know, that's my approach to what I'm doing on YouTube now. Again, it's not about like, oh, I need to do this to try to get to a certain demographic or a blah, 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 blah. No, I'm just having fun. And I want to, like, you know, create spaces that people enjoy being. And if I do that, I believe that people will reward me for just giving them the opportunity to actually just appreciate having a space that they can just be comfortable in, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and through that they will endorse me, and I will, you know, grow in merit because people will actually be like, yeah, no, this guy just lets me do my own thing, doesn't hassle me, and that's all people want. That's all they need, you know, just a little bit of breathing room. And then we could actually have this reciprocity, and like, you know, people could actually have discourse. But we got all these people that are trying to lead the, you know, and this is on both ends of the kind of ideological perspectives that are doing, you know, they're the bidding for their own myopic concerns that kind of ruins it for everybody else that's caught in the fray of those much more exploitive and polarized perspectives and viewpoints.
You know, you're actually in the voice chat in Discord as well as in here. Could that be causing problems? I don't know if you know, but
let me double check.
At least unless my Discord is bugged, but I just noticed that you were in there.
My Discord, I've got myself muted on the actual app, and then the one that's running through my browser doesn't pick up my mic line as far as I'm aware. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're in two voice chats at the same time. It's not like causing a problem for me, but it could be, you know, because I remember one time.
Is anybody in the chat? Is it coming through fine for the audience? As long as they're good, then I'll deal with whatever. But.
It should be good. It should be good. Okay. Well, anyway, the other thing I wanted to say about Squid Game being cast in this role is that the only reason why they cast him is because they wanted some star power in their show. And Carrie-Anne Moss, who played, you know, Trinity in The Matrix, her role is not that big, and everyone else is just like nobodies. So they're using him, and it's just kind of sad because nothing wrong with putting some star power in your movie, but like, could you at least make sure the guy speaks English first? You know, like this is just like, it's sad because this person could be a great actor with a bright future, but he is in the wrong property at the wrong time. He's not ready. He doesn't speak the language. It's just like a bunch of and he's probably going to vanish into obscurity or just go back to Korea making stuff over there, which is probably better for him, to be honest.
Quite honest, you know, that's probably, like I was going to say, economically speaking and just even creatively speaking, you know, that might actually be a better place to just kind of be like, I'll operate in this realm and not have to deal with all the weird Hollywood shit.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't have to get caught up in, soul cooking and all the other weird stuff that becomes more of a
spirit cooking. All the
cooking,
weird, and sacrifices to Moloch and whatnot. Yeah, I get it.
Right.
No Bohemian Grove for me, right? All right, but anyway, so I'm going to read a little bit more of the article and let's see here. So you guys see what they're getting at. So there are concerns, too, that the Acolyte ending abruptly will inadvertently embolden the darker side of the Star Wars fandom. By the way, she points out that this is the dark side of the Star Wars fandom in an article where she's trying to explain that there's nuance. So there's no nuance when it comes to us. Like, people who dislike it, that's just the dark side. And the dark side is evil. And they're telling us they know that, but they're still trying to change what it means.
in your racism.
Yeah. It's undeniable. They exist, loud in voice, probably smaller in number than their presence suggests. But before a single frame of the Acolyte had emerged, they were perpetuating a narrative against the show. That it was woke, whatever the hell that actually means. That it would be the end of Star Wars. That it was anti-George Lucas. That it was going to ruin the Jedi. All that's true. All that is true. And woke, by the way, all that means is critical consciousness. That's all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we're all pretty clear on what modern day woke definition is. The only people who aren't are the ones who are actively avoiding it because they don't want to actually confront the thing that they're exploiting.
Yeah. They think they're getting away with what they're doing. And wokeness is critical consciousness, or as I like to call it, insecure, narcissistic, globo homo, gay race communism. That's what it is.
It's NPC tokenism, dude. It's just like letting someone else like put all your thoughts and motivations into you, and you just are like a wind-up fucking tinker toy. You know, I'm on automatic, and I don't even have to think about anything even, you know, other than wiping my ass, and that even that's just kind of like habitually based at this point, you know. So don't mind the streaks.
All right. Anyway, so this show's mere existence before it actually existed caused ire in the worst corners of online discourse. These are not people who watched the show and didn't like it. A valid response for some viewers. These are people who
I legitimately pirated those copies. I went right to the high seas.
These are people who didn't like it before they'd even seen it. Yeah, why don't you pay for this? You ever see the meme of the person? They're like they're naked and they're squatting over a plate like they're about to take a shit, and they're like, "How do you know it's shit? It hasn't come out yet. Like
it hasn't come out yet." It was like, I think I can tell just based on a few factors, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, look, it doesn't matter what like you don't like that I have a prejudice. And that's because that's what it is, right? I'm judging before it's out. But you know what? Everyone has prejudice. Period. Yeah. Like that's just a human nature
and that's
thing.
What we actually need to learn to be better off is that we all have prejudices, we all have biases. There's no way to ever eliminate from yourself anything that is fully undesirable from someone else's playbook, because again, as I've said before, my playbook is not your playbook. And so for me to hold you to my standards is a quick way for me to be disappointed in, you know, no time flat. And I need to understand that I'm being a subjective asshole who's subjecting you to my subjugation when I do that kind of insanity. And so that's where it's like, if we can all just be a little bit more understanding of discerning stuff, and we're just saying, I want, you know, escapism to be for the point of escapism, we can still put things in there that are, you know, kind of sophisticated and nuanced towards the actual debate of the world we live in. But the way that it needs to kind of be, you know, dealt with in legitimate human terms is the thing that's lacking. And instead we just get this very opaque, top-down, agenda-driven narrative, you know, content bullshit. Yeah. And that's the whole issue. Is just like, look, we can have gay complex characters. The opening of the show, we sat here and just said this video game that's starring a teenage girl in junior high, and she's got like a best friend who's like a mean girl, and it's great. And and we're supposed to just be these people that hate these things, but we've been talking about like how great this game is. In the same time that Dustbin comes out, straight to the dustbin. Everybody's been using your joke.
We're gonna
on point.
Well, I did.
Transition.
We're gonna get to more of that because I have something regarding that. I have a few things that I think we're gonna get a laugh out of. Yeah. But look. Let me. The thing is, okay. Obviously, we are not any of the things that we are accused of, and the only reason why they accuse us of these things is because they think we're gonna have a reaction like, no. Let me prove to you that I'm not that thing.
Right.
If we ignore them because we know they're ridiculous and we know what we believe and we know what our values are, then there's no need to explain ourselves. So, but anyway, let me just get to this, because this is the bit that I wanted to respond to, and then I'm going to move on to the next topic. So this is what this article claims, okay? Meanwhile, those who did support the show are the ones being let down. And then they follow up with this gem of a statement. Fans are not entitled to art. Artists are not beholden to their audiences. Did you see that? Okay. Did you see what they're saying there? So look, they are saying that you are not allowed to have an opinion on the art. You are not entitled to art. But I am a paying customer. At least the theory is I'm a paying customer. If I am paying for something, then I want it to be something that I want. See, this is the problem with artists, and I say this as an artist myself, okay? The problem with artists is that they think that they can create markets. You don't create markets unless you are a genius. You respond to markets. This is what Eric July has said about his comic books. So the Comicsgate guys, the ones that do well are the ones that respond to market demands. They see that there is a gap and they say, I'm going to make something to respond to that. The ones that do well are the ones that give the customer what they want. I know you hate capitalism, or what you call capitalism, but that's the reality. Fans are not entitled to art. but customers are entitled to a product that they pay for. That's what this is. This is not your little art gallery, class. This is actual stuff that people have to shell out hard-earned money for. And in this economy, they're going to be more selective. And it's because of you that we're in this economy, by the way.
Right. Right.
Anyway.
Well, I was going to say the sad thing is there's this really big misdirect too, is that they think that, we hired all these college trained artists, they know all about these principles of design and everything like that, and then they just task them to make skins for a widget. And and so the thing that you ultimately end up with supposedly all these people who have all this understanding about scientific about the science and math of being an artist, and they completely lose their artistic integrity, and so everything they churn out might as well be by AI.
Yeah, well, no one's really being taught how to create something beautiful, even if they go to art school. It's all about
and that's what I'm saying.
Can you make something that has the correct political messaging and market it?
Yep. Can you get into the mode of thinking, be part of the indoctrination cult and that's what modern, media arts are looking for mainstream stuff. And that's why, we need to come together on this grassroots level where we're approaching things on platforms like Rumble and YouTube and all the other places that we end up. I think we're on X as well. So that's the thing, is we have to cultivate our audience through these platforms, not try to tailor our audiences to these platforms, and if we get dropped from a platform because we don't jive with what they want, but we still have our audience, we give them the multiple opportunities to find other entry points to our little, whatever we do here, and they like that, then it doesn't matter if we get dropped from one platform or another, other than the cushion that we have to absorb it through. As long as ultimately what we're doing is providing for the audience, then they will provide for us regardless what kind of suffering we might have to befall for making these choices that are based on principles and values rather than just virtue signaling that is empty and trying to chase after the algorithm.
Yeah. And so basically I think for me, the takeaway from this article is that these people are angry that, we still persist on having this crazy concept called property rights, where we own our own money and we decide how to spend it, which requires us to be prejudiced and discriminatory because I can only put my money in so many different things and I'm going to choose the stuff that I want, and they don't like that. And plus they make this ridiculous
claim. How dare you hold on to your rugged individualism.
Yeah.
Get into our collectivist bullshit already.
And they also make this ridiculous claim that there's probably the people who don't like the show are probably in the minority. Meanwhile, the show was so poorly received that it's being canceled. That maybe that means the majority of people even utterly don't want removed.
It might get memory hold like Willow did. And I know that sounds kind of like an extreme thing to say, but they have literally been getting rid of all merchandise connected to it and everything.
Yeah.
So
I know.
So they're sunsetting
I thought that was. They are. And I was like, there's merchandise? That was my thought. You guys spend money on merchandise for this crap show? Who is it for? Who is this for? Speaking of who the hell is this for, let's get into the next thing. So we're going to be looking at, I saw this video and I have to share it. So we got more Dustborn. So look, I don't know if I was the first. This might be our next
acolyte. This thing might give us some things for a few weeks to come.
Yeah,
possibly.
I don't know if I was the first person to sound the alarm
on my
this
radar.
game. But I talked about it way back when I saw the very, very first trailer. I was like, oh, this is gonna be garbage. And
I know we put it on the radar for Nerd Wars and Honey and for Angry Badger specifically.
And on top of that, Savvy bought this game to play it. Savvy? What?
Yeah.
That
was
Savvy, right? Yeah. She's
on FNT last night.
She was playing it, and so that she can review it. I'm sorry, guys. There are some things
that are too far.
I could never.
Far.
I don't know if it's even like necessary to play it so that you can critique it, because these people will tell you, well, how could you critique it? You haven't played it yet. I don't need to. I already know what this is. So no, I'm not doing that. I'm not giving you money and then like, oh, I realize now this is garbage, but my money is gone. No, I'm not doing that.
And unlike so many things that end up found on the high seas, there isn't even 100 people that have purchased this thing yet, and I doubt any of them have the technical understanding or capabilities to make that feasible. So this thing isn't even going to live a second life in cult kind of appreciation of, hey, let's make fun of this piece of shit.
Yeah. So, okay, I want to show you. This is the opening of the game, or at least this is what people are saying is the opening of the game. And you are playing a song because you're in a band, guys. I don't know if you knew that, but you're in the band is called Dustborn. That's where the name of the game comes from. So we're going to play this clip. I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's like 6 minutes. I don't think I can make it. I'm doing this for your health.
Might be a little, yeah.
But here's the thing. I want you to
just cleared up my yeast infection from the last time we did one of these things.
Pay attention to the lyrics so you can see just how absolutely cringe this is. And how on the nose. And the guy who created it defends this shit too, by the way. But let's play it.
We're the aliens. We're the refugees. We walk among you. We're right behind you.
That's not how you do good song rhyming. All right, I'm gonna need you. I need a break.
No, I gotta fit.
No, we can keep going. I just there's only it's like woo.
We're the refugees. Like this is so on the nose.
We're the new porn. Do you see that on the screen right there? Like the next lyric that's
we're the new porn. Oh my god. This is the worst. Like somebody spent money to develop.
This bug is airborne, so they are a woke mind virus. Like that's the things they don't even realize. Like how, they Jesus, like they're doing the work. Like thank you. All we have to do is just point at shit nowadays. It's like I could try to rail on this, but wouldn't it be easier for me to just sit here and just be here? I'm just gonna laugh at it and let it try to impress you. Because this is what it's bringing to the table.
They don't think that David Joshua said they purposely made them annoying, cringe, and unlikable. They don't think that. They actually think these are really
they think this is a highly desirable person to be. Yeah.
Yes, this is they think that this is how you should be. And by the way, the singing and the music is awful. Without the lyrics, it's just bad. Okay, this is anti-art. This is this is the so anyway, let's finish it. Keep looking at the lyrics here.
Yeah, see if we can find any more highlights. Our kind is newborn. We're the best born. Jesus Christ. Lame, as South Park says.
Those are the rock animations. They're awful. Guitar Hero looked a lot better, and it's 10 years old, 15 years old.
15.
Oh my god. Yeah, I'm sure it is.
15.
Yeah,
15, more like 20 at this point.
That was different.
Something.
You make a living doing this?
We're a bit rusty, and it's been a long day.
Yeah, sure thing. By the way, that song could be considered offensive in the Republic. This isn't Pacifica. People here don't like politics.
I know what's going on here.
Entertainment.
Yeah, it's not subtle, John. It's not.
No. But remember,
people don't like politics in their entertainment,
right? But in Shithulk, they thought, hey, if we call things out that we're doing, then we're actually being clever. And so, their whole point, you can't hold our bad writing against us. because like they're bad songwriters because they're a band of thieves and they're pretending to be a band of musicians.
They're like, oh, we're still on the up, we're still on the up and coming, so we have struggles. Therefore, if you criticize the song, like quality of the song, you're falling into the trap. We told you it was bad. We like, they Babe Ruth that shit. No, it's just bad. It's just bad. And I agree with the Republic.
Exactly. Kill the founding sons of bitch. You know what? By all means, we're just gonna step back and let you drive all the way to Nova Scotia, please. By all means.
But they should that should be the whole game. They should just let them just go, please, just go. You know, because this guy. I'm sorry, but the Republic is based as fuck. This is just bad music, and no, I don't want their bullshit politics. Like, you know, there are bands that are better at crafting music that I disagree with more than this. Like Rage Against the Machine, which is now Rage on behalf of the machine.
Right.
Like, you know, like punk is no longer punk, guys, you know, and it hasn't been for a while. Except for maybe Johnny Rotten's probably still pretty okay. So anyway, this is this happened. They're actually really on the nose with this. I think there's a little bit more.
Although in a few months' time, it might actually be argued that it didn't happen because so many people have been like, I don't even remember that. That's no cultural relevance.
What's your band name?
We're the Dustborn.
Pointless. You get in the dustbin.
Well, you know, at least they didn't get arrested right away. So you're.
Pause, let's read this. We are the refugees. Your kind won't last. They are talking about white people, those problematic white people. They are not even hiding it anymore. The developer has said that we should break out the white developers to favor minority game developers. It's worth noting that he is white himself. I'm glad he's got his good collectivist guilt in place.
Yeah, this was posted by someone who was basically pointing out like what is the politics of the people involved with this game. If it wasn't obvious, like if no one knew these people are essentially oikophobic, self-hating white people and minorities that are on a vengeance trip, and that's essentially what is behind the game. And you know, support it if you want to. I think that Savvy shouldn't have bought it. Personally, I don't think that you have to prove just how like level-headed and intelligent you are by giving money to people who hate you and then reviewing their garbage.
At least to her credit, it is a business expense that she can recoup, I guess.
She should get a refund. I don't know if it's possible, but she should
I
get
probably
a refund.
would try to at this point in time, but she did over 2 hours. She did 7 hours, and then she tapped out and then was asking, do I go back to this? Because, like, you know, I think, you know, we've already proven the point. So, yeah. But,
well, so how well is Dustborn doing? I want to do a check. Let's do a
let's see if it's crossed 100 sales yet.
A mental health. Yeah, let's do a mental health check-in. Is that what you call it when you're just checking up on people?
Wellness check.
A wellness check. Okay, so how are we doing? 48 people are playing it.
Woo!
48.
What's the peak number again?
Let's go down. I think it was 60. No, let's scroll down here. The peak was 83.
83. Tens of purchases, as you said, and tens.
Yes.
And there we are.
We're 83 people have bought this shit, and 48 are still playing it. How many people refunded it then? Like, oh man. Mr. Cornell says 48 people. I bet most of them are woke streamers or shills. Absolutely, duh. Yeah, I mean, who could stand this much cringe? Like, one of the things that is, I guess it's kind of a blessing of all this woke shit is that people are just tired of it. Like, they're just sick of it. It's like, I titled this stream, is DEI and Wokeness Dying? And I will give an answer of what I think in a little while. But consumers are certainly just losing their patience. You know, they're getting exhausted.
They're over it.
Yeah.
Easily. We're over it. But this is kind of interesting because I feel like we're at another unifying point, much like we were over a decade ago. Because like when we talk about where did the culture war come from, I believe that a lot of what we're dealing with in this current decade started as a direct result of everybody getting past classist-based issue or partisan-based issues and actually looking at it from the classism that was taking place during Occupy Wall Street. And we were all united as a people, as Americans, despite our political affiliations. We knew full well that this corrupt corporatist takeover had, been in league with both political parties, and it was all just right there, and we all were just like, we were ready to be over and done with it. And as soon as that was happening, that's when they started all these divisive kind of ways to get us to start hating each other, for pointless, superficial bullshit. Because when you get down to it, we're all just Americans. However you want to call yourself as an American, that's your own thing, but we're all just Americans who
I don't even really think I don't even really think we're all that divided. I think that's part of the illusion. I think most people are normal, and they don't want to trans their kids, and they don't want to send their children to a woke school that's going to groom them. They don't want to be indoctrinated to hate their neighbor. I think that is the people we're up against, and the people who support them. Right. They're in a position of they're like the normal people who support them are in a position of extreme insecurity, narcissism, and dependency, really.
That's why it's so important that they do this desperate play that they're working on right now to create the terms of service through safety and fairness doctrine policies to create the censorship society, because we are actually getting to that point again where we're beyond the politics. I mean, not to spoil if we have time for it, I'm pretty sure we want to talk about the political Avengers that are coming together, between the RFK and the Trump campaign. This is literally just starting to be about, look, we just want to be people that, even though we have differing viewpoints, openly differing viewpoints, we're actually caring about make America great again, not in the sense of this is just a red hat thing. This is we care as Americans to make America great again.
Again, that's another thing that they're lying about. Obviously, most of us just want to be able to afford our groceries and to, put gas in the car, and we want to close border. But they're going to, and that it is a good thing that RFK said that. But I think that it's obvious too. If you have any common sense, you're going to be like, wait a minute, these people are trying to tear everything down so they can hold on to power. They'll burn down the country to feel the warmth of the ashes. So exactly. He's going to step in. He's going to be like, well, no, we need to bring back some sanity. And I hate to tell you, if you're still not aware of this, but Trump is sanity. That's all it is.
Yeah. Just go around and that's and this is and I'm even saying that as somebody who back in 2016, I was one of the people who was